Welcome to Racket's Biz, the only podcast that delivers data-driven insights into today's rackets industry. New clubs are opening consistently in the United States and all over the world. Some make it, some go out of business quickly. As an investor and facility operator, what is it that you need to know to create constant cash flow and consistent long-term ROI? Join me for today's episode.
Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Dominique Lemperle. Today's guest is Santiago Gómez, the CEO of Padel Haus. Santiago was born and raised in Mexico, where the country's culture and traditions have always shaped his entrepreneurial path. After 6 years at UBS Investment Bank, he left finance to open Cosme, a restaurant in New York City. Cosme is currently ranked number 1 in the US and number 22 globally on the world's 50 best restaurants list. A lifelong padel player who spent his summers in Acapulco, the birthplace of the sport, Santiago founded Padel Haus in 2021 to create an approachable, design-forward, and socially engaging experience for players of all levels. Today, the Padel Haus operates clubs in New York City, Williamsburg, Dumbo, Greenpoint, Nashville, and Atlanta, while Denver and Dallas are opening next. Padel Haus is a sponsor of the USA national team and host of the US Open in partnership with the USPA. Santi, welcome to the pod.
Hi, Dominique. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for taking the time of your busy day to talk to us. First, I want to know, tell me a little bit where you grew up, what racket sports you played growing up, and what motivated you to eventually become CEO.
I was born and raised in Mexico City specifically. And like most kids there, I grew up playing padel, tennis, and a little bit of soccer. Padel was always part of my life. I spent all my summers in Acapulco, which, as you know, is the home city of a sport. That's when it was invented in 1969. And my background in finance and hospitality coming from UBS, as you mentioned before, and then after having founded my restaurant company, gave me the tools to build businesses, but Padel gave me the passion. Becoming CEO of Padel Haus and founding it was a natural evolution after having ran hospitality company. And what I like the most about this is that it's the perfect intersection between design, sport, community, and are the things that I love the most.
Padel is trending big right now in the United States. Your goal is to have 15 clubs open by 2028. Can you give us some insights into your capital fundraising goals and strategy?
Yes, I think that we've been very strategic about achieving and where we're going. No, we started in New York because it's the hardest market in the US. And they say if you can build it in New York, you can build it anywhere. Williamsburg was the first location here in Brooklyn, and that proved the model. Then opening Dumbo just reinforced the fact that we could succeed in New York. And now we've opened Nashville and Atlanta, which are proof that Padel can succeed outside of New York. And we are trying to go to different markets. As you mentioned, the goal is 15 clubs. We're going to finish this year with 6 clubs. Next year, we're going to have a 7th one in Dallas. And then we'll probably try to open up locations in LA, Miami, Chicago, DC. And the last part of your question about our fundraising goals and strategies, we just finished our Series B this past summer and are slowly preparing into our Series C round that we should start soon enough. with the idea of closing our Series C at some point middle of next year. It's a total of
next year.
It's a total of 18 million that we've raised so far, and we want to raise anywhere between 10 and 15 million more.
And if we have any potential investors listening right now, do you have a message for them here?
I do. In Padel, there's a lot of Padel in the US. There is a lot of projects out there, but there's a lot of very good projects. There's some not so good projects. The only thing that I say is be smart, be careful, choose your projects right. I don't think Padel is a gold mine as some people make it believe. It's just like any industry. It's an industry that requires hard work, smart people, and people with passion.
In the startup phase, many clubs make a lot of mistakes and they overspend, and they don't have much revenue coming in, and they go bankrupt after 1 year. Your background is in finance. How often do you analyze data, and what do you look for when you analyze it?
Constantly. I'm looking at data every day, every week. We looked at utilization by court, membership growth, event revenue, ancillary spend, things like food and beverage, pro shop. We track our NPS, our Net Promoter Score, and we put out surveys to all of our members and players to understand what they're thinking. And each club is treated like an own business unit. Each club has its own P&L. We track cash flows on a club basis, on a weekly basis, and adjust in real time. I think the key overall is to have some discipline. And something that I'm seeing a lot is there's a lot of people that are desperate to get to market or to launch their first club, and they're making bad decisions in the moment they sign the leases that you won't be able to afford in year 4, year 5. So you need to look at that and understand that the competition is growing, that even if you're the first in your market, there's going to be 5 other clubs in the next 3 to 4 years. So choose wisely, negotiate your lease terms with that in mind, and think long term, not just short term.
Yep. I saw that you just secured a lease in Dallas, a 10 plus 5 plus 5 lease. Can you explain a little bit what that means exactly? 10 plus 5 plus 5?
Yes, we just secured a lease in Dallas to build a 23,000 square feet, to convert a warehouse into a paddle club. We secured a 10-year lease with 2 5-year options, and that will get us a club of 6 courts in the heart of the design district.
That's an ideal location.
That's an ideal location, and that's our longest lease. All of our other leases are about 10 years. So when I was saying about negotiate and look at your lease terms, I am totally against short-term leases. I think they don't add equity value. They don't add shareholder value. That's just a shortcut for club owners to try to launch something in the short term, but they need to think about it long term.
Yep. And when you choose your locations, do you design them differently based on location and demographics? For example, do you design the club in Atlanta differently than the club in Nashville? Or does each Padel Haus look pretty much the same?
Yes, I think design is not just aesthetics, it's cultural as well. So even though every Padel Haus has and shares the same DNA, a clean design, a social atmosphere, high attention to detail, each club has its own personality. Williamsburg feels different than Nashville, feels different than Atlanta, but you can also tell that it's Padel Haus. Nashville is more relaxed. It has a music component. We have a music room inside of Nashville that is actually sponsored by Gibson Guitars, adapting to the local reality and the local what people locally are wanting. And that music room, believe it or not, is highly used of people that come play padel and then they go to the music room to record or to play the guitar.
I saw that. That's a very cool guitar lounge. I want to hang out there one day.
You definitely should, and everybody that is a music lover in addition to padel should definitely visit Padel Haus Nashville.
Yep. And as you open more clubs, you have 3 in New York. What lessons have you learned from each one that you apply to new ones? Maybe in terms of court layout, the equipment that you choose, or any cost-saving strategies that you apply differently now than you did at the beginning?
I think every opening teaches us something new. In New York, we learn how to handle massive volume. In Nashville, for example, we learned how to launch and build community from scratch. There were no padel players. There were guitar players that we converted into padel players. And Atlanta right now is teaching us how to optimize an opener design without compromising comfort. So I think we fine-tuned everything from court spacing, the lighting that you see in our courts, that you see in the background. It's not your typical court lighting post that you see in your outdoor courts. So all of those we've tested and learned from it and adapted to the new locations. And all those things are being done while we reduce build-out cost, we improve margins, we look for larger facilities. So every club has taught us and improved us the way we build and the final product that we deliver.
So you mentioned you have massive volume in New York. Can you tell me a little bit more specifically what you mean by that in terms of age and ethnicity and income bracket? Who are your players in New York?
New York is very interesting. We were the first club, the first court ever opened in New York City was our Padel Haus Williamsburg location. So when we first opened, the first people that showed up to the club were international, Europeans, Spanish, Swedish, Italians, Argentinians, Mexicans that have played that sport before and came in the first place. Then those people brought in their American friends, mostly tennis players, squash players, and played the sport for the first time, and they fell in love with it. Today, Americans represent the majority of our players in our New York clubs.
How many members do you have in each club?
We have more than 500 members in New York and a wait list of about 70 people. We're not taking more members right now. We're gonna open up the wait list and open up and free up some spots once we open our new location in Greenpoint. And it's been an interesting journey. In terms of demographics as well, we had majority men when we first opened. I would say 80% men. And today that has shifted. I think we're now at 65% men, 35% women. And we're looking forward to keep on growing the female base.
Yeah. Wow, that's very interesting. It went from international to now mostly American. And how about the age bracket? How old are your players?
In New York, given where the locations are, I think the majority of our players are probably between early 20s, 21, 22 to 50, 55. Our other locations, Nashville and Atlanta, probably attract a little bit of an older demographic, probably people in their early 30s up until 65. And that's probably because of a part of town where we are, whereas in New York is more younger, kind of in their first or second job after college that have joined the club. But I think we're going to start seeing these differences in each city and then try to grow from there.
Yep. So you're seeing Do you think it'll start like this at every club where mostly internationals come in first and bring in their American friends? Or do you think we're at a point now where Americans are very curious and come in first?
New York is a very global city, so it's normal that internationals came first to the club. Nashville, for example, of our 110 members that we have in Nashville, 95% of them are American because it's not that much of an international, there's not much of a global audience.
Yep.
So I do think that it might take a little bit longer in the markets that do not have the global and international customer base that we have in New York or cities like Miami or LA. But I am seeing that Americans love the sport and are here to stay.
That's great news. Love to hear that. You did mention Miami, that you have plans to go into Miami, even though that is already a pretty saturated market. Why do you still want to go into Miami?
No, for the record, we don't have a lease signed in Miami at all.
Okay.
The only way we would consider Miami is if we found the perfect location with the right ceiling heights in the right part of town. But you're right, it's a saturated market. There's gonna be probably more than 20 clubs in the next few years, or maybe there are 20 already. But at the same time, it's also the place with the most players today.
Yeah. And in terms of membership types, you have three different ones. You have a single club membership, you have a multi-club, and a multi-club pro. Which one is your most successful one right now at the first 4 locations that you have open, and why?
The multi-club membership is the most popular. People travel a lot more than we expected, and they love having access to every house. It's also like a good reflection of our brand, that our community extends beyond just one city. A lot of people from Nashville come to New York every once in a while, and they want to feel like a part of their home club. So they come to Padel Haus New York. And in between New York, we're going to have 3 clubs, including Greenpoint, very soon. And people like to move between houses. And then the pro tier, which is the highest tier, is growing quickly, especially amongst our most competitive players.
Yeah. And what does that give them exactly more than the multi-club membership?
I think the most value that I see in the membership is the ability to book courts in advance, in New York at least. There is a high demand for our courts, for our product. If you're a pro member, you can book up to 3 weeks in advance, and people are going in the middle of the night, 3 weeks in advance, to book the slot that they want. Whereas the multi-club membership allows you to book 2 weeks in advance, and if you're not a member, you can only book a few days in advance.
Yeah. So court demand is that high right now that they go in the middle of the night and book their courts. That's amazing.
I think for our product it is, because we built a lot more than just courts. But also keep in mind that New York City, in the next 2 months, is going to triple the amount of courts there are. Before the summer, there were, if I'm not mistaken, 15 courts in New York City. And by the end of 2025, we're going to have 35 courts.
Mm-hmm.
So the supply is growing, the supply is tripling, and I don't think the demand has tripled yet. So we're going to see the stronger operators, the stronger concepts, the most complete concepts will have the courts busier, and the weaker concepts with less amenities, with less sense of community, are the ones that will probably drop below the desired occupancy.
Yep. You mentioned less amenities is not gonna result in more customers and more profit. You have a restaurant in there. you have, tell me a little bit more about the amenities that you have at Padel Haus.
With how things are going in the US and how the concepts are becoming more complete every day and more 360, having amenities is not something good to have. I think it's a must. If you're going to open a padel club, you must have locker rooms with showers. You must have food and beverage. You must have a gym. You must have a lot of the other off-court items to be able to attract players to your club. In Padel Haus in New York, I can tell you we have a full dedicated gym. We have lockers, premium lockers, showers. We have a steam room in the Williamsburg location. We're launching our outdoor courts in addition to our indoor courts next week. We have food and beverage. I mentioned in Nashville we have a dedicated music room. We are building a golf simulator in the Nashville club. Atlanta, we're adding a players lounge. So all these things that are off court are a must for operators in the near future.
To lock in memberships. Is that what you're saying?
To lock in memberships and to also to attract players. The experience of a player is not limited to the 90 or 60 minutes that they're playing. It's from the moment they arrive to the club to the 20, 30, 1 hour, 2 hours that they spend before their match, and the 1 or 2 hours they spend after their match.
Yeah.
In Padel Haus, when you come to Padel Haus, you see a lot of people that are hanging out, drinking a beer, eating some food, co-working from here, taking calls, because they enjoy being at the club. They're here not just for hitting the ball in a court. They're here for the entire experience.
Mm-hmm. The community that you mentioned, they're there for that.
That's correct. But also, it's building a community takes a lot of time and a lot of dedication. I also advise, if operators are going into this or people are thinking about building their first padel club, don't think this is a part-time job. Don't think this is something that you can do on the side. This is a 7 days a week, 10-hour a day type of job, and it requires passion, dedication, and a lot of time.
Yep. Which leads me to my next question. You're the CEO of the club. Give us an insight into a typical week of yours. How many different hats do you wear? And what are the biggest challenges that you face during the week?
I think this question has two answers. One is the answer when I opened the first facility, and I was wearing multiple hats at that point. I was the GM, I was selling memberships, I was on court building community, I was handling the social media, I was hiring my staff, I did my shifts in front desk. I was wearing multiple hats with one location. As you build and expand, as I scale and expand, the biggest challenge has become to balance scale and quality. While growing fast, I try to protect the culture, the experience that Padel Haus was giving in the early days, and I was wearing multiple hats, and I was being the manager on site. Now I need to look at it more high level, making sure that the experience you get in one Padel Haus is consistent across all of our 4 locations today. And wearing that every time I'm at the club, which I'm at right now, I'm in Dumbo, I am also wearing multiple hats. I am going to all my job sites and the constructions, and at the same time talking and participating in my community.
Yep. So you were a one-man show at the beginning, and then you hired more and more staff as you locked in memberships and started making revenue.
Today, we have about 83 employees across all locations. As you say, initially it was a one-man show, but today we've grown and scaled. So we have a good enough number of people working on making Padel Haus succeed every day.
Yeah. That was my next question. How many full-time employees do you have at each location? How many part-time and how many 1099s? Let's say your most successful location.
Yeah, the number that I set up, 83, is the total number of people that work for the organization. In general, one facility has typically a general manager. It has coaches. It has baristas in the juice bar, and front desk staff, which obviously have to take. The club is open 16 hours a day, so there's multiple shifts within one day, and then each one of these shifts represents multiple bodies.
Yep. I gotcha. And what is the biggest challenge, for example, that you face currently this week? Is it construction? Is it employee morale? Is it a membership complaint? Give us a little insight.
All of the above. All of the above. I think that the biggest challenges that we've had, at least this year, at least myself, is building 5 clubs and having 5 openings this year alone. So I managed 5 constructions in different states, in different cities with different teams, while still operating the currently open clubs. Yeah. That has been probably the biggest challenge since we opened Padel Haus. So just be able to balance scale and quality.
Yep. While at the same time still doing rounds of fundraising, correct?
While at the same time having done 3 rounds of fundraising, each round we've spoken to more than 100 potential investors and chosen the right ones that add value, that have passion, that understand what we're doing, and that are looking to succeed with Padel Haus long term.
What is the minimum investment they have to make to be an investor at Padel Haus?
We're very picky. We just don't open the doors to anyone that comes and knocks. I think it's on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. If you have a new facility operator who wants to open his or her first club, what advice do you have for them so they don't go bankrupt right away?
The first and biggest advice is, and the most important moment of a padel club existence, is the day that you sign your lease. That's going to set how many years the club is going to survive. That's going to set what prices you can set. That's going to, your location, it's not going to change. So that's your most important day. So be mindful of what you're signing. Understand paybacks. Understand projections, how much you can sell. Be realistic. Don't try to inflate numbers. Don't believe that padel is a gold mine. Be realistic. Don't rush to get to a market. And then once you've opened a club, I would say don't try to grow too fast. Understand your market, master your operations, protect your brand. Most failures come from people who overspend, assuming that demand will follow. So focus on product and focus on experience.
Is there anything else you'd like to add outside of what we talked so far?
The biggest, if you're thinking about becoming a padel club owner, the biggest question you have to ask yourself is, do I really love this? Do I really love spending time with contractors, solving problems, being in constant pressure, and addressing complaints, addressing challenges on how to build community? If you like that, then you can think about owning a padel facility, but it's not easy. It's not a side job. It's not a part-time job. So make your projections. Keep in mind it's going to be your 100% for the years to come. And then if the answer is yes, go for it.
Well said. Thank you so much. How can investors or anyone get in touch with you if they want?
I'll share with you my email, santiago@padel.haus. I am always on my phone. I read every single one of my emails, even though I get north of 500 emails on a weekly basis. And I read every single one, and I try to reply to every single one, assuming that there's a mutual interest and that is a right fit for us.
Yeah. That's all I have, Santi. I know you have a busy day ahead. Thank you so much for your time. I've learned so much, and I know our audience, our listeners will love this. Thank you, and I cannot wait to visit you at the Padel Haus in New York, and also visit Cosme. You've made me very curious about that now.
I was there last night celebrating my birthday at Cosme. I hadn't been in some time, but it's a beautiful restaurant. Check it out, and if you're in town, please come visit us at any of our Padel Haus locations. Dominique.
What's the best thing to order at Cosme?
The duck carnitas.
Ooh, cannot wait. What about, what's the best cocktail to order?
Margarita.
Of course. Can't wait to have that. Well, thank you so much, Santi. And again, very valuable information. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on Racket's Biz. Don't miss the next episode, and subscribe to Racket's Biz on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Like us on LinkedIn and Instagram. See you next week.